It was 7 a.m. at JFK International Airport. The usual hum of rolling suitcases, overhead announcements, and travelers hurrying in all directions filled the air. But amidst the morning chaos, there was a moment quietly unfolding, a moment that would go on to shake millions around the world. A woman stood at the check-in counter. Her name was Amara Okafor, a 30-year-old Nigerian woman with warm brown skin, tightly curled hair tied back neatly, and a traditional Ankara print dress that spoke of her roots with pride. Her eyes carried determination, but also uncertainty. This was her first time traveling outside Africa. In her hand was a passport. In the other, a one-way ticket to Paris. And in her heart, a promise she made at her father's grave just months ago, to carry forward his dream of honoring Nigerian heritage across the world. Her father had been a humble village schoolteacher. He had taught generations with love and discipline, and his last wish was to see his daughter become a cultural ambassador. Amara had worked endlessly, selling handmade fabrics, tutoring English, and saving every penny. This was the moment everything was about to begin. But not all stories start with applause. Some begin with resistance. At the counter stood Mr. Carter, a white middle-aged airport agent with cold eyes and an impatient stance. When Amara softly said, "Good morning, sir," and handed her documents, Carter barely glanced at them before raising an eyebrow. "What is this? You sure this is a valid ticket?" he snapped, scrutinizing her documents. "Yes, sir, it was booked online by the institute," she replied, her voice gentle but clear. Her accent, thick and undeniably African, triggered something in Carter. He smirked. "Well," he scoffed, "guess they're letting everyone fly these days, huh?" Then, loud enough for others to hear. "Hope the pilot understands that accent, or she'll land in the wrong country." People nearby paused. Some looked down awkwardly. Others pretended not to notice. But one woman, Elena Harper, a 25-year-old CEO of a $950 million luxury travel brand, didn't look away. Elena had been quietly watching Amara in line. Something about her calm presence had caught her attention. But Carter's words made her freeze in disbelief. She stepped forward. "Excuse me," Elena said firmly. "Is there a problem with this passenger's documents?" Carter looked irritated. "Just making sure she knows where she's going." "Hard to tell with that kind of English." Elena's face darkened. She looked at Amara, then turned back to Carter. "Her English is fine. In fact, it's probably more respectful than yours." Amara, still holding her passport, stood still, her fingers slightly trembling, but her posture unbroken. She spoke softly. "My English may sound different, but it's learned with effort. My father taught me. He said speak with kindness, and the world will listen, eventually." For a second, time froze. The silence around them was louder than the announcement speakers. A few people pulled out their phones and began recording. Amara didn't ask them to stop, she simply lowered her gaze and took a deep breath. Hours later, the video hit social media like wildfire. The hashtag her accent is not a fault trended within minutes. By afternoon, it had 12 million views. The internet had seen and heard what happened. And by evening, Elena Harper released an official statement from her travel empire. "We will no longer do business with JFK International Airport until cultural dignity is upheld. Disrespect toward accents, ethnicity, or origin has no place in global travel." That statement rocked the aviation world. Within 6 hours, over 300 luxury bookings were cancelled. JFK's executive board held an emergency meeting. Amara had said nothing. Demanded nothing. Filed no complaint. But her silence had screamed the truth. Days later, a leading global TV network requested an interview. Amara hesitated but finally agreed. Sitting modestly in a studio, wearing a simple green dress her mother stitched years ago, Amara said, "My father told me, your voice is music, even if some don't dance to it." Keep singing. One day, they'll listen. That night, tears rolled down the faces of thousands watching. Mothers messaged their daughters. Teachers shared her clip in classrooms. People from India to Brazil to Chicago commented in hundreds of languages. We hear you, Amara. Then came the call from Paris. The Paris Institute of Cultural Harmony invited her as an honored guest speaker at their annual summit. They had seen the video. They had felt her grace. They wanted her to represent African culture, not just through fashion or speech, but through dignity. When Amara boarded her flight to Paris, something was different. This time, the flight attendant smiled warmly. The captain came to shake her hand personally. And as she took her window seat, Amara looked outside, toward the clouds, and whispered. Baba. I'm flying. Just like you said I would. Back at JFK. The airport issued a public apology. Mr. Carter was suspended indefinitely. A new policy was launched, mandatory cultural sensitivity and empathy training for all staff. Elena invited Amara to become the global cultural ambassador for her travel company. They co-launched a campaign. The Accent of Courage. Its mission. Don't judge by pronunciation. Listen to the meaning. Dignity speaks in every dialect. They traveled to schools, airports, and embassies, spreading awareness. Amara spoke in London, Lagos, Toronto, and Tokyo. Everywhere, people stood in long lines, not for autographs, but to say, "You made me feel seen." And so, she became the voice for millions who'd been mocked, silenced, or overlooked. Not by yelling. Not by demanding. But by standing. By choosing grace over rage. By letting her silence carry a message louder than hate. Sometimes, the world listens only to noise. But every once in a while, it stops for a whisper, one that echoes with dignity, resilience, and truth. Amara's accent wasn't a flaw. It was her heritage. And the day someone mocked it, the world stood up and said, "We won't let kindness be silenced anymore."